Hi, I'm Eric Sultan, and this is Denver Block by Block, where we find out what it's like to live, buy, and sell in central Denver. If you're thinking about buying a home in Denver, take a minute, pause, and ask yourself these 5 simple questions before you enter a single house. These are questions that I go through with every serious buyer that I work with. They are questions that the answers to could keep you from spending thousands of extra dollars or winding up in the wrong house in the wrong neighborhood. I've been living in Denver for the past 25 years, and I've seen people make an awful lot of mistakes when it comes to real estate purchases. I've seen people fall in love with a exposed brick wall and overlook an outdated electrical panel. I've seen people fall in love with an open floor plan and overlook a shoddy foundation. Sometimes people will choose a neighborhood for the schools and they won't like the commute to the school, or they won't feel at home in the neighborhood. Or maybe they didn't need the school at all because they don't have kids, but somebody told them that they're supposed to choose their neighborhood based on the schools. Let's help you avoid those kinds of regrets and get you into the right house in the right neighborhood at the right price. This might sound completely obvious, but I've had buyers get stuck between buying the right house or the right block. And sometimes that just happens, especially if you're looking at more than one neighborhood at a time. When you're looking at more than one neighborhood, the home that you might want might exist in one neighborhood, but you're priced out of that home in the other neighborhood, and the buyer gets stuck trying to figure out whether they should get less house in one neighborhood or more house in the other. These are questions you have to ask yourself before you go and look at homes. And so you don't wind up bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball from house to neighborhood, neighborhood to a house, always wishing that you could put this house in that neighborhood. Would you rather have a great house in a neighborhood that isn't exactly what you want out of a neighborhood, or maybe a little smaller house or a house that needs a little work in the neighborhood that you feel really comfortable in? You know, these are questions I can't answer. These are questions that you have to answer for yourself. I will say that my happiest clients tend to be the ones who put a little more faith in the neighborhood than in the house. Do you want Park Hills community, or do you want the quiet of Mayfair or Montclair? Do you want the charm of Congress Park? Or are you interested in being right on top of City Park's 365 acres by living in City Park? These are questions that it helps to have answered before you ever leave the car. Spend a week, walk the neighborhoods. Walk it in the morning when people are going to work, when people are going to school. Walk it at night. Walk it especially at night. You know, if you're in central Denver, if you're near some of the busier streets, if you're near those businesses that you really want to be close to, well, some of those businesses are often bars. Maybe you don't want the kind of noise that comes out of a bar at night. Maybe you want to be a block away. One block can make a huge difference when it comes to being in a noisy area versus a much quieter place. I'm lucky enough to live in City Park neighborhood, and that puts me very close to the park itself. And I'm just gonna step into the park, do the rest of this filming from the park, because it's a nice, cool spring day. It's gorgeous out here. There's a lot of people on their bikes. I don't think we don't have the boats going right now on the lake. Often there's little paddle boats in the shape of swans that are out on the lake, and it's a really fun way to spend an hour or so. Just so you can see what the area looks like. We just entered City Park. There's a bunch of people walking around. You can kind of see the Museum of Nature and Science in the distance. We've got a 360-acre park. You've got mountain views, which you probably aren't going to be able to see from this shot, but there's mountain views over the lake, and it's a great place to walk, take the kids, take a bike ride, watch the birds. You're also attached here to the Denver Zoo and the City Park Golf Course. When you're thinking about what you want to buy, we got to think about the cost. And that seems pretty obvious, but it's really important to think about the monthly cost and what you can afford to spend every month. It's not just the price of the home, the price tag only matters so much. What's really important is what's going to come out of your pocket on a month-to-month basis. So, if you're looking in an area with a homeowners association or a metropolitan district like Central Park, Denver, you might be paying an awful lot more in taxes because the taxes are about 50% higher there than they are in the older neighborhoods. And then you'll definitely have a homeowners association in addition to that. And Central Park starts at $43 a month. But then depending on where you are within the community, that can go up easily to a few $100s a month. Within the older neighborhoods, you're not going to be dealing with homeowners associations. You're also not going to have some of the benefits that homeowners associations give you. The important thing is to figure it out beforehand and to decide what's important to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. So a little piece of advice on figuring out what you can afford. The best way to figure that out is not to just pull up an online mortgage calculator. The best way to figure out what you can afford is to talk to an experienced local mortgage broker. That mortgage professional is going to be able to walk you through the issues on affordability an awful lot better than anything online will. And also where you should make sure that you stay safe, how you can be conservative and still afford to buy a house, because you don't want to be overpaying and you don't want to spend all the money you have. Some people with certain kinds of jobs and certain types of debt can actually get qualified for an awful lot more than what they really want to spend. And then on the other side, especially for first-time home buyers, this is an investment. Even the best looking homes, they come with surprises. Most of the homes in these neighborhoods are built before Instagram, and no matter how pretty they are, no matter how good they look online, we've got to make sure that they're in great shape. So make sure that whoever you're working with has a couple of great home inspectors so you can figure out the age of the sewer line, so that you can figure out whether you can get into the attic or is that attic just a black box. You want to know that you have the proper tools and that the person who's helping you has the proper tools before you get started looking at houses. Because the worst thing that could happen is you fall in love with a house, you get to the closing table, and you don't really know what's going on with that house. This is great. We're having a very rare spring rain here in City Park. We don't get a ton of rain in Denver, but it's been raining off and on for the past couple weeks. It's really nice. You're going to want to know at some point early in the negotiation whether the seller you're working with is going to be willing to actually fix problems for you, or if they're just going to give you a credit so that you can fix those problems. There's benefits to both. There's costs to both. Getting a credit for an issue in a home, you're probably going to get just enough to fix that problem, to that repair, even after closing. So every home purchase is as is, where is. Once you close, you own that house with its problems. They say with all faults. But if you have negotiated an inspection resolution, so you've negotiated inspection repairs here in Denver, after closing, if those inspection repairs weren't done properly, you have somewhere to go. Once you've done your home inspection, you're really gonna have to sit down and figure out, can I really afford this home? Can I afford this home with the problems, even the minor problems that the seller might not be willing to fix? Can I afford to fix a sewer line on this home? Can I afford to put a new roof on this home if the seller hasn't agreed to do that for you? It happens sometimes. It happens enough that even with a bad roof, a seller is not gonna make that repair. Maybe that seller knows that they can sell to somebody else and not repair the roof. Maybe they have 2 or 3 backup offers. These things happen a lot, but how long are you gonna have to go before you can make those repairs? Are you going to have to make those repairs before you even move into the house? Are you going to be able to push that out 3 or 4 or 5 years so that you can just, save it? You can put it into your budget. It's a line item in there. One thing that's becoming more and more important are changes. The world is changing faster and faster, and neighborhoods are changing faster and faster as well. So, is that empty lot or is that little shop going to become a 3-story building? Is that house that's on the busy street at the end of the road and nobody's living in it, is that going to become a gas station? These are important questions to ask. These are important questions to look into. They are a matter of disclosure if the seller or the listing agent knows that there's some major development that's going to be happening somewhere near the house. They're supposed to disclose it, but they don't always disclose it, and they don't even always know. So, when you're in an urban neighborhood like Congress Park or Park Hill, you need to look into those kinds of things, because you don't want the quiet little street that you thought you were going to be living on to turn into something completely different that you didn't know about beforehand. That can pose real problems for your life, and it might pose problems for your home's value. It might make it more difficult to resell, and it might make it more difficult to sleep at night. At the same time, some development, sometimes building restaurants, bars near your home, maybe that's what you want. You move to an area thinking this street is ripe and ready for development. There are a lot of places in City Park South and the northern part of Congress Park especially, where this might be the case, where the Colfax Avenue that runs between those two neighborhoods, it has blocks that have beautiful, amazing restaurants on it. And then it's got some blocks that have empty motels on it. Block by block, these things change an awful lot. And some buyers are going to have the stomach to move to the end of a block that has, a vacant hotel on the other end, knowing that within a few years, that's going to change into something better. No matter what it is, it's going to be better. That's going to help their value, but they're going to have to live through some construction in order to do it. And that just depends on what you're looking for out of your home purchase. And that's the kind of thing that you can talk to good, knowledgeable, local realtor, mortgage broker about. They'll really be able to help you figure out how much value can I expect to see out of this development, and how much is it going to impact my life? Lastly, is right now the time for you? Not just because it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. Is it the time for you because you're ready, because you're secure enough, because your income is right and you have enough job security that home ownership makes sense? Do you know the neighborhoods well enough? Do you feel secure that they're not going to change, or that when they do change, they're going to change in your favor and not the other way around? These are the kinds of questions that your realtor can help you out with. We're not just here to sell houses. I have plenty of people that I've been talking to for years and haven't bought a home yet because it's not quite the right time. I know that eventually it probably will be the right time, or they'll have a friend and for them it's the right time. So it's always a good time to have that conversation, even if it's not always the right time to buy a home. So are you financially secure enough to staying in the same place for 3 years to 5 years? Is that something that you're ready for, that you even want to do at all? And would buying a home bring you more pressure, more stress, or is it going to bring you more peace of mind? Maybe it won't bring you the most peace of mind over the next 6 months, but is it going to make you feel more secure in your place in the world over the next 6 years? That's a question only you can answer. Although I'm happy to talk to you and help you figure out that answer. These questions might seem simple, and hopefully the answers to these questions are fairly easy for you to answer, but they do take some thought, and it does take a little bit of time to figure out, how you really feel about these things. If you have any questions, you are absolutely welcome to send me an email or just respond below, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have about Denver real estate in general, even if it's not in Denver. Just get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. If you found this at all helpful, please Send it to a friend who's thinking about buying or selling a home, whether that's in Denver or anywhere else. And until next time, this is Eric Sultan with Denver Block by Block. This spot, Lily Pad Lake, it's a small lake off to the side in City Park. It's just a gorgeous place to enjoy this drizzle. It's one of my kids' favorite places to hang out when they're just running around on their own. They check out the shrimp, and there's some little lobsters and fish in there. It's just gorgeous. Man, it's actually really starting to rain here. And I love it. I love it. You can smell the rain. Denver loves a good rainstorm, and I just love Denver. I love this town, and I love the parks here. It's a great place to be, especially in the springtime.